Hey there trainers, Happy New Year! I hope 2024 is your best year yet. I'm rooting for you guys. Anyway, welcome! You're with PewterCityJim today, and while New Year's is a time to look forward to the year ahead, I opted to look backwards for this month's Solah outing. Oh, Solah, by the way, is our channel's Fakémon Region based on Southern California and some of the surrounding areas if you're new. We've got over 80 species of monster over here for you to check out. If that sounds like something you'd enjoy, sweet. Feel free to do all of the usual YouTubey stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell to see all the uploads we have going on. That really helps out, and as always, it's truly appreciated. Remember, trainer, you are welcome here. Now, cast your mind back, beyond breakfast, before last night's slumber. Back past finals week. Back beyond 3rd grade, even. Back to the age of the dinosaur. Oh, wait, no, way too far back. Sorry, fast forward. There we go. Back to the Pleistocene epoch, or Ice Age. This period of glaciation was, despite being cold as all heck, a time filled with a lot of crazy biodiversity, especially in regards to megafauna. Huge mammals all over the place. Mammoths, giant sloths, American camels, short-faced bears, all of these could be found in and around Southern California, and in fact, they all contributed to one of the most interesting places that I've ever been, the Brea Tar Pits. These giant pits of goop are home to literally millions of fossils. The most common is that of the dire wolf. They have an entire wall of wolf skulls that you can see, and that's not even most of them. But pretty close up there is the sabertooth cat, or Smilodon, with over 2,000 individuals found. Why is this? Well, imagine, if you will, herbivores meandering around, munching on foliage as they do. Suddenly, on account of most of them being pretty big, they bust through the thin layer of dirt and leaves over top of these big bubbling pits of tar. Sticky situation, right? Haha. The issue then becomes that the more you struggle, the more of the tar you displace and the deeper you sink. Sometimes that's all that happens. Other times, these herbivores have even worse luck. Predators notice them and think that they're an easy meal. Unfortunately, nothing could be further from the truth, because now, with added weight and motion, the herbivore starts to sink faster along with its attackers, dooming them all. Then, tens of thousands of years later, they're available for us to look at in museums and stuff. Of course, in the world of Pokemon, fossilization isn't the end. It's a new beginning. There's tech available to bring these prehistoric Pokemon back to life with varying levels of results. I'm not going to talk much about the Galarian fossils here, as their gimmick is pretty unique and mostly unrelated to anything that I'm doing. In terms of the rest of our fossilized friends, we have a couple of common threads to pull on. One is that they're all part rock type, and they're also all Pokemon from millions of years ago. The fossils being so old, this absolutely makes sense. They are literally resurrected from rocks, except for Aerodactyl. Unless you're counting Amber as a rock, there's not much reason for it to be a rock type unless its original, unresurrected form itself was a rock type. And the Mega for Aerodactyl kind of cements this as the case in my mind, but your mileage may vary. So, we're going to resurrect fossils, not set in stone, but in tar. Tar is pretty poisonous, so both of our fossil lines will be part poison with elements of tar corrupting them. These resurrected fossils will be pretty different from any real primal form they might have had, but that's part of the fun, right? Let's start with the dire wolf. In popular media, these things are always unambiguously cool. Big and strong and feral and just kind of neat. The truth is, dire wolves weren't wolves at all. Their ancestors diverged away from their shared ancestor 5 million or so years ago, making them very distantly related to the gray wolf and actually more closely related to modern-day jackals. Anyway, all that aside, as tempting as it was to make just a plain, awesome, vicious-looking wolf, I kinda just couldn't. Dire wolf? Nuh-uh, this thing is gonna be a dyed wolf. Tar generates a rainbow pattern on the surface when water is present. Light refracts through the uppermost layer, generating these swirled colors that kind of look like the colors on a soap bubble or tie-dyed fabric. Once I had those influences in mind, there's no way I could create anything other than a bubbly, happy puppy that pushes the number of colors usually allowed on a Pokemon past its breaking point. The main body color is close to that of a golden jackal. I was also inspired by the colors of Coco from Disney's Coco and African painted dogs. I just imagine this thing licking its trainer's face, leaving a big smear of colorful goop behind. The tar-inspired bubbles and fur are two separate things at this point in the evolutionary line. And here we have Buppy, the dire wolf Pokemon. Buppy are social creatures that require a lot of attention from either their pack or their trainer. Resurrected from ancient tar pits, it is theorized that this Pokemon's unadulterated form was less friendly, far more competitive, and constantly hungry. Here are your stats and moves. It's a poison ground type, so it has the various moves you'd expect from such a mix, plus some biting attacks and moves that focus on making the most of that good speed stat. It's not great at taking hits, but can deliver some fast damage and poison status. Buppy? Bubble and Puppy. Simple enough, right? Next up comes the evolved form. In this form, the tar and fur have become a more cohesive mass. You still have all those crazy colors, but they're more a part of the fur itself than globs of bubbles. This contributes to a sleeker, speedier look. The tail is big and boofy, and it's a rainbow, and I love it. Shoulders and neck are kind of thick and muscular to give an impression of increased power, despite it still having a soft face and those pretty colors. I can definitely imagine groups of these employing pack tactics. And here we have Dicrobo, the direwolf Pokemon. Dicrobo once roamed the land in packs, using the power of teamwork to take down massive prey. They were especially good at traversing swampy territory in search of Ponderostump. Here are your stats and moves. The range of ground-type attacks is expanded, and there are some water moves in there too, weirdly enough. My thoughts on these guys is that they were probably originally water and ground types in their original time before the resurrection process corrupted them into poison types. The name Dicrobo I'm actually pretty proud of. Misty gave me the original idea though. Dichroism is the process whereby light is split into different colors, so that kind of prismatic effect on soap bubbles and oil slicks would qualify. It also shares the first syllable with dire, as in the wolf, dye, as in to color hair or fabric, or in this case fur, and then portmanteau with lobo, which is Spanish for wolf. And sure, like I said, dire wolves aren't really wolves, but this is Pokemon logic, so I think it's fine. In terms of abilities, you have Frisk. This lets you see what item an opponent has. Frisky puppies are the best puppies. For the hidden ability, you get Gooey. Contact with this Pokemon will reduce the speed stat because, you know, Tar Pits. Here are your shinies, very fun to make by the way, and here is your egg. Next, we move on to the feline portion of our video, the Smilodon inspired line. First of all, I want to give a special shout out to my buddy Red Paragon G for this little guy. Red designed it to be a saber-toothed cat inspired Fakemon for Solah, but I'd already done most of the design work for the line I'm about to show you, so unfortunately I didn't wind up using this guy, but thank you anyway, Red, I really appreciate it. Anyway, like I mentioned, saber-toothed cats are one of the more common fossils found in Brea as well. Same story, they spotted prey, ran on in for a quick and easy meal, and paid for it with their lives. Brea Tar Pits Museum does a pretty fun live show with a life-sized Smilodon puppet. It's super fun, honestly. So, while Buppy's fur is colorful due to the rainbows created by the water on top of Tar, this little kitty is more dark and shiny, which is how folks generally think of Tar. Immediately, I imagined greased black fur with big tar drops coming off, and from there, I went with kind of a greaser aesthetic. The coating of tar on its body is in the shape of a leather jacket. Those teeth, though, are just pure steel. Purple is used as an accent, so it's not just a purely black and white design, and to accentuate its poison typing. It's giving you a very Simba-esque roar in the pose to show that this kitty is no pushover. I wanted to give it a kind of a dated look, like a little punk gangster from like the 50s. This will tie into its evolved form as well. And here we have Kutton, the cub Pokemon. Kutton were a real nuisance to the larger herbivores of the Ice Age. Despite being small, their metal fangs were razor sharp, and they would harry prey to exhaustion with them. When young, they like to work in groups, but this changes as they grow older. Here are your stats and moves. You have a similar range of poison-type moves to Buppy, with a few notable differences that will come into play later. You also have some steel-type attacks, biting moves, and a few buffs. Next, of course, we have the evolved form. This creature is massive, bulky, defensively powerful, and front-heavy. Smilodon were, like many big cats today, opportunity-focused ambush predators, meaning that they didn't run their prey down or attack wildly. They stalked and schemed and waited till they were sure they had the advantage before striking. This critter isn't just a Smilodon, it's a smiling dawn. That leather jacket is morphed into something resembling a nice black suit, perfect for demanding respect from any Kutton in their care. The bags under their eyes belie an air of wisdom and experience related to many successful ventures in the meat-gathering industry. The same colors as the prior form. The spots that Kutton have become more regimented and in line to emphasize that this big cat is less chaotic than its prior form. It also references the rivets of a steak knife. So yeah, mob boss sabertooth, steak knife, sabertooth cat. And here we have Smiline, the sabertooth Pokemon. Stalking prey in open grassland was no challenge for Smiline, whose large paws could move silently across any terrain. They often adopt groups of young Kutton into their care and teach them how to hunt effectively. Of course, they take a large but fair percentage of any meals these Kutton obtain. Here are your stats and moves. Smiline is not at all a fast Pokemon, and its attack is decent at best. This guy is a wall, a staller. It sets up entrance hazards, status conditions, buffs, and HP reclamation. In short, it would be very annoying to deal with as an opponent, but fun to play with. Smiline, Smilodon, Smile, Feline, it all just kind of works together. In terms of ability, you have Sticky Hold. This prevents anyone stealing the item this Pokemon holds. As a hidden ability, we have Liquid Ooze. This causes any HP stealing move used against it to not only fail, but deal damage to the wielder. No leech seeds or drain punches to be used on these kitties. Here are your shinies, and here's your egg. So where would you get these guys? The fossils are called the Rainbow Skull and the Steel Skull, and you'd get a choice between them in Siliconia. That's also where the fossil resurrection machine is. The catch is you'd have to pay for the resurrection. It would be quite expensive too. Later on, once you're done with both gym challenges before challenging the league, you could get multiple other fossils and resurrect them for free, but if you want either of these guys earlier on in your campaign, that would be the only way to do it. They're relatively strong Pokemon, so this seems kind of fair to me. Anyway, I hope you like these goobers. Next time, we'll be looking into some of the byproducts of the resurrection process. You might want to bring a hazmat suit for that one. But till then, thanks again. I'm looking forward to catching you in the next one, trainers. Take care of yourselves. Bye!